There we go, the new normal. It just doesn't freeze anymore. I would say I kind of miss it, but I don't really. Greetings, everyone. It's Friday. It's rolled around once again, and we're all gathered here to indulge in a little bit of beer and chat on a Friday, well, for me, early Friday evening. But wherever you are, just take comfort in the fact that it's 5 o'clock somewhere, and there's never a bad time to crack one open. Cheers, everyone. Oh, dear me. And then straight in, Peter Williamson. You are an absolute gentleman, sir. Thank you for that. That is very, very generous of you. Much appreciated, mate. That will go towards something along these kind of lines, I suspect. Carlsberg export, as has become the new normal. Much like the intro, not freezing. And there's Paul Trainer as well. Thank you so much, Paul. You are a gentleman, sir. Much appreciated, mate. A scholar and a gentleman indeed. Right, let's see who's first in. I apologise if I'm a little bit croaky and sniffly today. I haven't got man flu. What I did have, though, about 2 minutes before the ticker was going down to kind of showtime, time to go live, is I had the most ridiculous sneezing fit. I get sneezes like other people get hiccups. And, I was thinking, get them all out now before I go live, because, this face is bad enough, but when it's in mid sort of sneeze pause, it's not a pretty sight. Anyway, who was first in? Terry Day. Congratulations, mate. And then Dr. Gomez won, and Johnny Random, who's not on the beer tonight because he's driving south. Then there's Theme Tunes and Rubbish Guitar Bloke Amadeus, and Tom Clark, who is Crystal Palace versus Mongwall tomorrow. I gather that must be Millwall. I don't know. 22 millionaires ruining a lawn, as far as I'm concerned. I was born without the football gene. Then there's Anton and Rent to Kill and Ben Allmark. Dave Fiendish is in, but he's hoping. Well, he was in. He's hoping to be back in time. Hopefully make it for the stream, but in hospital again. Have one for me, John. I shall do that, mate. Hope the hospital isn't anything too serious, mate. Fingers crossed that if it's either your appointment or one of your loved ones, that it's, everyone's on the mend again soon. Then there's John Ross, and Tom Clark is in. So is Auto Getting One, Peter Collins, and Grandpa Joe. Who's saying this is the only place to start the weekend. A 12 o'clock start in New York City, sunny 50 degrees. Have a happy and safe, enjoyable week playing guitar. That's pretty much what I had in the diary, mate. Each day the same as the last. There's Boulder. And anyone else? Yeah, we've got Mickey Walnuts and Steve Entwistle, Chris Otterwell, Ian Clark. Won't be in for the first half. Have to take my dog for his monthly injection later. Yes, I'm having some dealings with our local veterinary practice. Yes, they leave every stone unturned in order to make your life easy. Everything is too much trouble, and computer says no is basically there. I think they must have that engraved on a sign above the reception desk. Thing is, there's this code of ethics amongst veterinary surgeons, I think, where you can't take your custom elsewhere because that's unethical for another practice to poach someone else's customers, but means we're stuck with a useless, uncooperative. Yeah, anyway, I won't go into a rant about that. Then we've got Chip Young and Peter Nicholson, and who else have we got? We've got Nathan, we've got Francis Chambers, and Michael Conings, and there's Paul Trainer, BSc. Michael Purcell is in, so is PFY Guitars, Stephen Polk, 60s Man, Doc Alders, and Vincent Bredden. We've got Cylon Hybrid and Grumpy Horse. Then Johnny Day is in, saying almost spring-like. Yeah, it's been a nice day here today as well. Tuck Dougal go out for a walk this afternoon, and a very pleasant time was had. For once I wasn't kind of battling against sleet and wind and rain and, just all of the usual kind of summer weather that we get up here. It's... you can tell when it's summer in Redcar because the wind gets warmer and the rain comes from a different direction, or vice versa. Then, as I said, there's Grumpy Horse, Chip Young, Austin Barrett, Cal B and the Rocco Cat, Mark Colonel, and who else we got? We got Peter S and session guitar legend Gary Shaw, who's just got himself a new Vox AC15, and very happy he seems with it as well. Dan Bernstein is in. Nice to see you, mate. Long time no see. Francis Chambers is there, so is Jimmy James and Carl Texper. And from the four corners of the earth right through to the four corners of Redcar, we've got Colin Falcon just round the corner from me, and there's Steve Sprosen and Barry Riches and Rexomatic, who's looking forward to visiting England in September. And yes, apparently there might be a little trip to Redcar scheduled in that. And what's just occurred to me is there is talk of another Redcar-mageddon event. So that would be cool if we could kind of blend the two, wouldn't it? So what I want you to do, don't put it in the chat. Please don't put it in the chat. I will miss it. It will be, I'll be blethering away about some rubbish or other, as is my want, and I'll miss what you say in the chat. Email me, jrguitartuition@gmail.com. You know the email address, or you can find the email form on my website, johnrobsonmusic.co.uk. Get in touch via one of those two channels and let me know if you're interested in getting yourself up to Redcar later on in the year. I'm thinking sort of August, back end of August, September, that kind of time. And let me know what sort of dates work for you and what dates don't work for you. And I'll try and kind of cross-reference all of the replies I get, and if anybody's interested in coming, it's a bit presumptuous of me to kind of just assume, but I've had a few requests for this, so just let me know what sort of dates work for you and what don't, if you're interested in coming. We basically, if you've never been to this sort of thing before, we go to a local pub, we drink beer, and then we go to a local curry house and eat curry. That's it. This isn't, like Henning's Gear Street or anything like that. This isn't about networking or anything like that. There are no equipment manufacturers coming to schmooze you and get you to do reviews or anything like that. No, this is just a bunch of lads going out for a beer and a curry. And, I can't think of a better way to spend a Friday evening, to be honest. So if you're interested, all the stuff I've just said, get in touch. We'll work something out. And as I say, if we can work it in for when Rex is, in this neck of the woods, that would be absolutely splendid, I reckon. Then we got Watches and Guitars. We got Eric Luttinger. We got Searching for Tone. And Mr. Chris is in. John Channing Dingers 63. Michael Purcell saying, rest in peace, Gene Hackman, brilliant actor. Indeed, he was. And it's ironic that I watched loads and loads of his films, or movies, if you prefer, over the years, but I never saw The French Connection until about 5 years ago. And, found out what I'd been missing. I've got to tell you, my favourite Gene Hackman film is Crimson Tide, him and Denzel Washington on the submarine. Absolutely fantastic film. I like that sort of genre of war movies, things like Das Boot and all that. It's really in that sort of tradition of Hunt for Red October. There's another great one, it really is in that tradition. If you're not familiar with it, then give it a watch. Crimson Tide. Then who else have we got? Robert Forsyth is in, and John Mack and Peter Williamson and Robert Forsyth. Did I just say you, or was that someone else? My memory's terrible. I'll tell you something else. My memory is really terrible. Then there's Dudley Squat, Guitar Bass Dude, Triple Distilled, Thomas Mulvaney, Martin. Is it Scholes or Scholes? I'll say both, and in fact I just did. Then we got Rent to Kill, late to the party today, mate. You're usually up there, up in a pole position somewhere. And who else have we got? We got Jay Ao Young, Nick Shaw, and David James. John Little is in. Anyone else? Anyone else? We've got William Forrest, David Cairns, Ravensmead, in fact. John is allergic to guitars. That would be a bit of a tragedy, wouldn't it? Yes, I don't think so. We've got Steve Cassidy, and don't forget Steve's video straight after this live stream, where I believe you're doing a Jet video tonight, aren't you? I think you mentioned that when I was watching your live stream earlier on, or watching it on replay, but I was getting Dougaled at the time. Yes, so my attention wasn't fully on what was going on the screen, I'm afraid. We've got Bill Mumbo, Neil Roberts, and who else have we got? We've got Stratboy 999, and anyone else? Guitar-based who's seen new theme tunes, yes. Ian Clark, how dare you cast aspersions on me? I have not been on the Brazilian pixie dust, thank you very much. Then there's Malcolm Spillett. Sorry, late family emergency. Well, I hope all is resolved now, mate. Fingers crossed for you. We got Hoog Jr. and anyone else? I think that might be everyone. Oh, Greg H is in, Shane Allen. I always think that's the end of the roll call, and I see a new name. But yeah, I think that might be everyone. Apologies. Oh, there's my pal Steve Hoggett. And Steve Hoggett saying, I'm up for a curry, French connection for me. Yeah, as I said, how did I miss the French connection for all those years when it's just like it's there with The Godfather and stuff like that? I've never seen it. And another startling admission, Star Wars. Never seen a single Star Wars film. Not one of them. Not interested. I was 10 years old when the first Star Wars film came out. And even as a 10-year-old, I could spot the glaring plot hole. Am I the only person who spotted this? Right, okay, so here's a timeline of technology. You start off by banging a couple of rocks together and you get a spark and you can make fire. From that, you can end up smelting metal. When you can smelt metal, you can make a sword. Right, okay, and then maybe you discover some sort of chemical reaction, whatever, and you end up with gunpowder, and then you can make a firearm, and then, maybe internal combustion and jet engines and all that sort of stuff comes along from that, and then you get to the point where you're far, far, far more advanced. You can do interplanetary, interstellar space travel, and you've built a laser beam. What do you do with it? You make a bloody sword out of it, right? Well, you could have done that just by kind of banging a couple of rocks together, starting a fire, and melting some pig iron. I just didn't get that whole thing. Why not do what Captain Kirk did and make a laser gun where you can shoot the guy 100 yards away? It's why not just do that? Instead of getting a laser beam and making it into a sword. I could never quite get my head around that, even when I was 10, and it's eluded me ever since. And that's what, I'll be honest with you, that is what has put me off the entire Star Wars franchise. Am I the only one that thinks that way, or is that an opinion other people share? And then I'm getting, suspend your disbelief. And it's a Jedi thing, pride, honor, discipline. It's the way of the Jedi. Yeah, well, you got to kind of got sucked into the whole franchise and the whole kind of Star Wars universe to kind of get immersed in that before, it just, yeah, I didn't get it. Michael Purcell is saying a nod to old sword movies, I think. Well, yeah, there was. I mean, the clips that I've seen, it's like, it's every sort of Battle of Britain kind of fighter plane scene, but just done in spaceships, and every kind of Errol Flynn swashbuckling, kind of sword play film. But it's just, why not just make a sword play film? Why do you have to dress it up as sci-fi anyway? Oh, dear me, that's good. Um, Balder, what you saying there, mate? You only have to watch the first two Star Wars movies. The rest are abysmal, and subsequent releases worse. And each subsequent release is worse than the previous. Fair enough, mate. Fair enough. Yeah, the 70s was a big sort of sci-fi era, wasn't it? That's when there was I can't think that there are as many sci-fi shows on TV as there were back then. What was that one where the bloke, he had a digital watch that used to make him invisible, but he could only be invisible for 10 minutes a day or something like that. That was one. And then there was a completely unfathomable one with Joanna Lumley and David McCallum, Sapphire and Steel. Anyone remember that? Anyone understand it? It was beyond my comprehension, and it used to get massive ratings. Anyway, I digress. Let's tell you what's coming up on the channel this week. We have on Sunday a little bit of a mod to a guitar. I've had the soldering. You've been noticing the soldering iron sat over there for a little while in previous live streams and so on. Well, I've been modding this guitar. I now have a HSS guitar, kind of. Just a cheap and cheerful little Alnico 5 Hot Rails humbucker in the back end of this vintage V6, very kindly sent to me by a chap called Jim. And it just occurred to me that I don't have a HSS style guitar, so it might be worth having that for the occasions where I need such a thing. And I've got another HSS guitar coming up on the channel soon as well. So basically, it's just taking a look at that pickup there in that guitar, seeing how it sounds and whether it's a worthy upgrade or not. Then on Monday, the very last in the current series of solo analysis videos, I'm retiring that series of videos, at least for the moment, because I don't know. A, they're not getting the viewing figures that they used to get, and B, there's a fair bit of work goes into making those videos, and quite often, more often than not, these days they get demonetized. And I even get demonetized these days if I do a 12-bar blues jam, because somebody else has had a 12-bar blues jam that's been released as some kind of song or something, and that gets demonetized for some kind of copyright infringement or whatever. It seems that YouTube are tightening the screws on that kind of thing, and it just isn't worth me putting in thick end of a day's work to do a solo analysis video when, by the time you've recorded the backing, figured out what the chord sequence is, recorded the backing track, tabbed out the solo, learnt the solo, recorded it all, edited it all, then done a brief explanation and everything. It's thick end of a day's work to do all of that, and it's an unpaid day's work at the moment, because those videos are getting demonetized. So that's going to be the end of that series of videos for the foreseeable future. But it's a good one. It's a good one. And in time honored tradition, yes, it did get demonetized. It's a cover of a very famous tune. So can you think of a Jimi Hendrix tune that Eric Clapton covered? It's the solo from that one. I'll leave that one with you. Jimmy James is saying, how can a 12-bar blues get demonetized? There will be some massive, or maybe not a massive hit, maybe just a B-side or an album track that is a 12-bar blues. And if mine's at the same tempo as that, and, it bears some kind of resemblance to it, which it will, because it's a 12-bar blues, the algorithm just says, yes, you're not getting any money off that video. So I have had a little bit of a revelation on that, though. I think because I've just recently done another 12-bar blues video that didn't get demonetized, and it wasn't in the key of A. So the the trick might be to not do 12-bar blueses in the key of A. That seemed to work that time. So, anyone got any idea? Yes, Little Wing, Little Wing. Lots of people coming up with that. The first version of Little Wing that I ever heard was the Derek and the Dominoes Eric Clapton version of it. It's on the Layla and Other Assorted Love Songs album, and it was only subsequent to that I discovered the Jimi Hendrix version, because I didn't quite get into Hendrix as early as I got into Clapton. So yeah, we're looking at the Eric Clapton solo from the Derek and the Dominoes version of Little Wing. That's Monday's video. Tuesday, it's all about what you need to be focusing on as a beginner, the milestones that you need to, the checkpoints that you need to kind of tick off your to-do list when you're learning to play the guitar. I am thinking about putting up more beginner content because I keep getting asked for it. So we'll see how this video goes. It's all about just the kind of things that novice guitar players need to know, and kind of don't worry too much about kind of getting that right, but you do really need to worry about getting that right, that kind of thing. And there's a list of 5 because it's a Tuesday video and we do top 5 Tuesdays. Then on Wednesday it is another track from the new album, and I can't remember which one this is. I think this might be the one where I get the exotic scales out of the cellophane and do something a little bit a little bit moody and a little bit Eastern, a little bit exotic and kind of and fancy sounding. For anyone that's interested, it's if you're familiar with Dick Dale, Misery Lou, it's the same scale that tune is based upon, and I just see what I can do with it and where I can go with it. And that is the Wednesday video. Then on Thursday, I would hold up the guitar and show it to you and say it's the first impressions of this guitar. But you'll remember that I did a bit of an unveiling a couple of weeks ago, or more than that actually, on the live stream, where I was showing you that Harley Benton gold top guitar with the P90 pickups that had been won as a raffle prize in the Agrajag Guitars raffle just before Christmas, and a very kind chap who won the guitar donated it back to Zoe's place, but he said give it to that fat bloke in Redcar to make a couple of videos with first. So that is what I've done, and I can't show it to you because the nice lady from Zoe's place turned up yesterday and picked up not just that guitar but a couple of others. The Epiphone Nighthawk, which has been hanging around since last year, that went to Zoe's place, and I've donated one of mine as well. The Faisley Outlaw Coyote Plus is no longer in the building. That has been scratched from my list of guitars, what I own. I just don't play it anymore. It's a nice guitar. I put some nice pickups in it, the Tone Rider Alnico 2 Blues, but I just wasn't playing it anymore. When I want the Telecaster experience, I've got the Jet JT350, which has a neck that feels like it came out of some, exclusive boutique custom shop somewhere. I've got the vintage V75 that, and look again, another guitar sent to me by the very generous Jim. And for whatever reason, it's not, I didn't wake up one morning and think, I don't like that Faisley anymore. But for whatever reason, whenever I'm wanting the Telecaster experience, it's either one of those two guitars that I pick up. So the Faisley, which was very generously given to me by Faisley, I've decided to pass the good fortune on, and that has gone to Zoe's place. I have asked them to, when they auction these guitars off, to ping me the links. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't, but if they do, I will post the links in the community tab, or the post as it's now called, so you can bid on them, if you want to kind of raise some money for the charity. There we go. Anton asked and answered, mate. What it is, the lady who comes and picks them up, she only kind of comes and picks them up because she passes literally my front door on her way into work, and the people who are responsible for listing and selling them and auctioning them work in a different department, and things often get lost in translation. But I'll ping her another email and say, can you just make sure that you send me the links? Anyway, excuse me, I've been blethering a lot and I am a bit dry. There we go. Right. This will, of course, be an absolutely perfect pour. No need to type flake in the chat. It's yeah. Oh, look, this is absolutely perfect. Completely professional. Perfect head. Absolutely stunningly done. I mean, just look at that. Oh, you can't, can you? Yes. Best Christmas present ever. Thank you, my lovely wife. Anyway, along with the that, I need a bit of this. Trying out a new flavour. I'm trying out this thing called Black Magic, which is chocolate, coffee and tobacco. A very nice combination. Anyway, let's get back to the chat, see what I've missed. I see we've got the Edge of Time band. I know who that is. That's my pal Dallas Toto. Nobody else calls me handsome. Yeah. Dallas, when was the last time you had your eyes checked? And where are we? What have I missed up here? Let's go a bit further up. Wasn't Duane Allman playing the Derek and the Dominoes Little Wing lead on the Layla album? I don't know. I think Duane played slide on that album, and this isn't a slide solo. So I assumed it was Eric. And who else have we got? Mark Kernow bought the Pink Floyd Pulse vinyl reissue box set this week. Must say I'm very impressed with the picture book. It's a nice touch. Yeah, I suppose that is the one thing that you did used to get when you had to suffer the misery of vinyl. I'm in no way nostalgic for it. But the album sleeve was it was something that was part of the experience, and if you're getting some special reissue where it comes with some nice pictures to look at, then yes, I can see how that is an added value. Where are we? No, not Sunshine of Your Love, Triple X Paps. I think I've gone a bit too far up the chat there. Michael Purcell, no link to auction, I presume. There will be if they send it to me, mate. It's just, as I say, I explained. Sometimes they do, sometimes they don't. Vapes are legal in my country, as is everything else, says Jay Aoyong. Yeah, well, thankfully they're not here. It was my doctor that put me onto this. I quit smoking in 2007, and then in 2008 I had a little bit of a relapse because I had a bereavement, and well, it was my mother. She passed away in 2008, and I basically had a relapse, and on the doctor's advice, she says, have you heard of these things called electronic cigarettes? Nobody had come up with the term vape then. She says, maybe you should try one of those. And I think what she meant was, try one of those to wean yourself off. But she never said that bit out loud. So as far as I'm concerned, I'm still following medical advice. Let's have a look. Who Junior saying, will you release a picture disc of the new album with Dougal on it? I doubt there'll be any physical medium that I'm going to release the album on. The costs involved in getting even CDs pressed. I don't think I've even got a CD drive that I can kind of write CDs anymore on any of these computers. So, it will be digital downloads only, I'm afraid. Where are we? Triple Distilled is saying, I'm pretty sure Dwayne played Slide. Yes, indeed. What else have we got? Ravensmead's going to see Zach Sabbath next week. I didn't know such a band existed. Is that some sort of Black Sabbath tribute involving Zach Wilde? And Edge of Time band is saying, you talking to me? You've watched Taxi Driver too many times, mate, I think there. What have we got here? Malcolm Spillett lost my vinyl collection when I stored them in the shed and the rats got in. Speaking as someone who, about 18 months ago, we had a rat infestation in our house. Yes, traps, poison, all manner of stuff. And in the end, we had to get a pest control guy out to come and sort them out. And he did a good job. It wasn't cheap, but it wasn't that expensive neither. It was, I think we paid 150 quid for, to get rid of them. And they have not been back since. Was that Mark? Not... is that Merrick or Meris Bayram? Hello, John. Squire Sonic Telecaster or Squire Sonic Stratocaster, and why? If I had to choose between the two, between a Strat and a Tele, for me, it's always going to be the Telecaster. That is where my allegiance lays these days. I am much more of a Telecaster aficionado than a Strat guy these days. I used to be a Strat player for many, many years, and then I just sort of got bored, really, and decided to check out Telecaster land, and then from there on in, it was twin pickup guitars all the way. Mr. Chris is saying, get a cat for the rats. Yeah, the thing is, we already have a Dougal, and a Dougal and a cat would not get on. I have no doubt that the cat would be king of the roost, but yes, not practical in our house, shall we say. Anyway, we're halfway through the stream, and where are we? I need to go into, where's that folder gone? There it is. There we go, that folder, and inside that folder there's that folder, and inside that folder there's that folder, and inside that folder there's a picture, and I'm going to put it up on screen right now. And here we go. This, in case you haven't gathered, is this week's selection of viewers' guitar pictures. And where is it? It's that's the one I want. Right, there we go. This one is a Harley Benton SC Junior in Vintage Sunburst that belongs to Bill Forwell. Now, Bill isn't a left-hander. He isn't a southpaw, and there was some reason why he, in the email that he sent me with this video, with this picture rather, that he explained how this came to be. But unfortunately, I have a memory like a sieve, as I said earlier, and I can't remember the reason. But there is a valid reason why Bill owns this this single dog ear P90 Les Paul Junior style guitar. Some people argue that that is all you need. I'm not sure I wholeheartedly agree with that, but it does have that sort of minimalist appeal, doesn't it? And then we've got Doc Alder's travel guitar. This is the guitar that he takes with him whenever he's traveling, and assures me that it is quiet enough to be used without annoying your fellow travellers, as it were. I almost pulled the trigger on something like this a little while ago, and then just thought, how much use would I really get out of it, given that the furthest I travel is usually as far as the curry house. But there you go. Anyway, what else have we got? This is Graham Campbell's G&L Tribute Legacy. Oh, yeah, you got to love a tortoiseshell pickguard, haven't you? I don't think I'm not sure if I've ever owned a G&L guitar. I don't think I have. I'm not even sure I've ever played one. I might have played one that a student has brought in briefly or something, but I've never had like an extended go on one, so that might be something to put on the to-do list. And yeah, it's basically Leo Fender just refining the Strat, wasn't it? When after he'd kind of been cut loose from Fender, after he'd left Fender and been, kind of got out of his, no compete clause that they had when he left. He had to wait a few years, didn't he? But yeah, I am curious about G&L guitars. And this is Graham Reeves' Court OC Blackwood Acoustic. That just has a look of quiet, understated, business-like competence about it, doesn't it? That's just that. I don't know what it is about the way that guitar looks. It just looks like it's a proper professional instrument that doesn't have to try too hard. And we know how great Court guitars are. I mean, if Court, Court make guitars for Fender, for Squier, for PRS, for loads of companies. And if you are the go-to factory for brands like that, then you're doing something right, aren't you? I can't put my finger on it why, but I really do like the look of that guitar. Then the very generous Jim, who has sent me the vintage V75 and the vintage V6. These are some of his guitars. He owns quite a few, and we will get through them all in the coming weeks. He owns quite a lot of basses as well. And these are a trio of Burns guitars. And I wish I could remember the names, but I can't. But there's something about Burns guitars that they just look, even though, you can think, okay, based on a Strat, based on like a Nashville Telly kind of thing. There is just something that looks quintessentially British about a Burns guitar. There's just some, maybe it's the kind of scroll headstock or the batwing headstock, the different kind of, the multi-part pick guards, they just say, yeah, that's a British guitar. And they don't, some Burns guitars, like the Burns Bison, I think is probably one of the ugliest guitars that you can ever imagine. But these look really rather elegant. And moving on, this is Len McIver's much modified Tokai Breezy sound, or the Lenocaster as he calls it. And you can't go wrong with a good telly, can you? Did you see that video that what's he called? Keith Williams, 5 Watt World, he put up about Telecasters, the White Guard tellies. I must admit I started watching it last night, but it was late on. The wife had gone to bed and I kind of nodded off halfway through. So age can be a cruel mistress. I will rewatch that again later at some point. What else have we got? This is Malcolm Spillett's Supro Steel. Again, not a guitar that I've ever owned, any kind of resonator guitar, because it's one of those things, it does one thing, it does it spectacularly well, but it's only of use to you when you want that one thing. So I don't know. Should I get myself some sort of resonator guitar at some point? I don't know. Jury's out. But it's just that whole kind of Brothers in Arms front cover kind of vibe to it, hasn't it? Yeah, marvelous. And this thing here, this really did fall from the top of the ugly tree and hit every branch on the way down, didn't it? This is a Daisy Rock guitar that doesn't belong to Mr. Chris, but it belongs to a friend of his, and he sent me the picture just for a bit of a laugh. Dear me, yes. You couldn't, could you? That's I'll take, if it's that or kind of take up recorder, or oboe, then I'm going for oboe lessons. If that's the only guitar that's available, I'm afraid, absolutely gopping. And this is, speaking of ugly guitars, a Fender Offset. Only joking, Neil. This belongs to a chap called Neil, who is the very generous chap who bought me that lovely satellite Les Paul copy that's hanging on the back wall, just because I've mentioned that I pretty much cut my teeth on one of those guitars way back in the early 80s. And Neil is a bit of a addict of this daily guitar giveaway draw thing, and he's won loads of guitars on it. I've never won a thing on it, but Neil seems to kind of have the secret sauce, the lucky touch that that wins him guitars. He's won a few, and this is the latest one. I have asked him if he can think of 6 random numbers between 1 and 49 and get them to me by Saturday, and we'll see how the lottery turns out, shall we? That would be interesting. Some guys have all the luck. Anyway, this one, the final one for this week, Rob Balder 64 as he's in the chat. He's treated himself to a new bass, more than one. This is just one of the pictures that he sent me of this rather handsome looking metallic purple, no doubt, Harley Benton bass. Yes, metallic. I think the tortoiseshell pickguard saves it, mate. I think the tortoiseshell pickguard saves it, but metallic purple, yeah, kind of venturing into Liberace territory there. Just a tad, just a little bit footballers' wives, perhaps. But the taut pickguard does kind of just show a little bit of class there, I think. Anyway, there's your lot for this week. That's the... any pictures of guitars that you want to ping over to me, send them over jrguitartuition@gmail.com, and they'll just go into the folder and get pulled out at random. If you want, if you've got a guitar that's for sale and you want me to flag it up on here, then the rest of the picks will be random. I usually do 10 a week. The rest of the picks will be random, but if you're saying, I've got this guitar for sale, can you give it a plug? Then mark it as such, and I'll make sure it goes in the next section. In the next live stream, I mean. Peter Nicholson saying, John, ever tried a Great House chambord body? I'm not sure. Does that mean? Is that a typo? Do you mean chambered? Either way, mate. No, I haven't. I'm afraid. But let's see what I've missed. Scrolling up. The Gwenfro Bluesman saying, I don't like Laurel fingerboards. Is that a cosmetic thing, mate, or is it just there's something about the feel of them you don't like? Because blindfold, I can't tell them apart. You know, and all you need is some of what the illustrious Paul, he's called, isn't he, on Milehouse Studios? You just need some Monty's Minge Fudge to rub in, and it darkens them up nicely. And ironically, it's Monty's antique wax or relic wax or something. Relic wax, isn't it? That he puts on his, and it's a good way of making a non-rosewood board look like a rosewood board. If it's just a cosmetic thing, Balder 64 chambered. I thought that's what it meant. Anton's got a couple of Harley Benton SCs now. Great guitars. Jimmy James used to have a chambered pot. Well, I'll just... There we go. Oh, this spell check. I'll try again. Gretsch, chambered body, ever tried? I had yes, I think I have. I've had Gretsch, one of these companies that just come out with rather than model names, it's model numbers, and I can never remember them. But whatever the kind of entry-level Gretsch version is of the Malcolm Young guitar, the Gretsch, what is that, the Duo Jet or whatever? I'm not up with Gretsch model names, but yes, I've had one of those in for review. I had a big old sort of Gretsch kind of hollow body thing in years ago, back when I was still doing the Guitars for Good Causes thing, and that was a nice guitar. Not really me though. It's I grew up, kind of lusting after that kind of guitar because I was, a massive Brian Setzer fan. But the reality of playing it, it was just, this felt weird. It felt like playing an acoustic guitar, but it didn't really kind of do it for me, I'm afraid. Mr. Chris is saying the Daisy Rock sounds as bad as it looks. What a surprise. And Jason Carter saying Milehouse Studios is a breath of fresh air. Great fun channel. It is. I was watching his that latest installment of his SG build earlier on today, and it was just he's just one of those naturally funny people. He's one of these people that's always on transmit. It's, you don't think that, I don't think that he's the kind of guy who does quiet and reflective at any point. Do you know what I mean? It's that's not in his skill set, and all the better for it. What else have I missed? Jay Aoyong is saying Chambard is a raspberry liquor from France. The Germans would nod in approval of your tankard, John. Yes, this was a Christmas present from the wife. It's wooden on the outside, but just follow me. Come on, this way. You can see it's got like a stainless steel, kind of inner. So the one thing you must never do with this is put it in the washing up bowl and everything. You just give it a bit of a rinse and a wipe out, and carry on. But yes, it does have an advantage as well. For some reason, I don't know if you've noticed, but my passing of wind from the top end, as it were, the belching that used to accompany these live streams, is much diminished. So there's something about just the design, the wall thickness on here that makes the beer just that little bit more quaffable and less gassy. Speaking of which. Time for a refill. And here we go. Steve Cassidy's going to catch up with Mr. Milehouse tomorrow. You're off to the Birmingham Guitar Show this weekend, aren't you, mate? I hope you have a splendid time and, see what connections you can make. I did have a bit of an email exchange with the guy from Jet Guitars that I think you know quite well there, Steve. He asked me if I wanted to do some, because I think you introduced us, didn't you? He asked me if there was any guitars I wanted to review, and I chose one, and he just didn't get back to me. So, fair enough. And the same is true with there's another guitar manufacturer who recently got in touch with me, thanks to Mr. Rex there, Rexomatic. Got in touch with me and said, we'd love to work with you and, send you some guitars to review. So I replied, and then I haven't heard back. So I don't know if I'm inadvertently giving the wrong vibes in my email, but I don't think I am. So anyway, we shall see. Yes, if this comes off, it's another pretty high-profile guitar manufacturer, not known for their boutique instruments, although they do have a couple of signature artists on their roster, and they're saying they might be interested in working with me, which will be fun. So anyway, what am I missing in the chat? By the way, if anybody, we haven't done a viewer's tales this week because I've run out. So if you have any amusing, mostly true stories of your brush with the great and the good, the rock glitterati, a rock star that you met and was an absolute down-to-earth, salt of the earth top bloke, gave you an autograph, bought you a pint, and shook your hand. Or maybe you've had the opposite experience with someone who is, well known and famous. I want to hear about it. Send your, as I say, as long as it's got, you can gild the lily a little bit. Names can be changed to protect the guilty, as it were. Send them along to me, jrguitartuition@gmail.com, and we'll see if this can kind of become a regular thing. I mean, I've told you mine when I met Hilton Valentine out of the Animals. This was the guy who, he played the intro to House of the Rising Sun, and in the 90s he was in this blues rock band on the local circuit called the Alligators. And I was on the band I was in was on the same bill as him. We were much lower down the bill. He was like kind of pretty much the headline act. And I kind of met him, and Mr. Valentine, you're the reason I play guitar. Don't effing blame me, son. And then he returned to his pint. So there we go. Rent a Killer saying, how's the lovely Dougal this week? Yes, Dougal has been a little bit spirited today, it has to be said. He's half lurcher, which means that his outlook on life is to see whether or not something is edible by eating it and finding out. And I let him out in the backyard to basically go and do what he needed to do in the backyard, which he didn't need to do, it turns out. But he got those helicopter things, those sycamore seeds. He got one of those in his mouth. I don't know if they're poisonous to dogs, but I didn't want to chance it. So I had to chase him back up the stairs, back inside. He ran up the stairs, and I eventually got it out of his mouth. And you get to a certain age, don't you, where you think, oh, actually, while I'm here, and I decided to just nip into the bathroom and answer the call of nature. Meanwhile, he's legged it back downstairs, and we've got this kind of footstool storage box where we keep, slippers and stuff like that. So I'm kind of in mid-flow, as it were, and I hear him going down the stairs and raiding the slipper box. So I had to run back downstairs and get the slipper out of his mouth. So that's been the kind of day we've had today. In the dying minutes of the game, let's see what else we can blether on about. Let's have a look. Oh yes, a discussion here about British beer. Yes, I think that the myth that us Brits drink beer warm, we don't. We drink it at cellar temperature. It needs to be cold enough to quench your thirst, to slake your dry throat, but you don't want it down at absolute sub-zero temperatures where you can't taste any flavour. Edge of Time Band is saying, still have not seen that tea, handsome. You mean this one? There we go. There it is. If you've ordered one and it hasn't arrived, then that's out of my hands, I'm afraid. That's just Teespring, or Spring as they're now called. I have had some complaints in the past that they drag their heels a bit about fulfilling orders. In my spare time, if and when I ever get any, I am going to look into getting a different print-on-demand T-shirt and merchandise provider, because I am noticing that the prices are creeping up on Teespring. For like a T-shirt that costs thick end of £30, I see like just over 10% of that, and I just think that's starting to get a little bit, kind of a bit too much of a one-sided relationship. So I am going to look into that. There's a million things that I have to get done of that nature, just basic admin things. that I will admit I'm kind of getting behind on, because just, lessons, YouTube, Patreon, tabs, backing tracks, etc., etc. Steve Cassidy saying, would you consider a Fatacaster's Stetson? I'm not ruling it out, mate. Let's say that. Let's just say that. Where are we? Anything else? Any other business? Friend's dog ate a whole frozen chicken. Yum. Yeah, well, Dougal, when we buy a chicken, we'll get a roast chicken dinner out of it. Then we'll get chicken sandwiches the next day. Then we'll get maybe, kind of chicken and chips the following night. And then my missus makes a nice chicken soup out of the carcass. And she left the carcass on the counter once and turned it back for 3 seconds, and Dougal had it. And chicken buns are really like not good news at all for dogs. So consequently, we had to prise it out of his jaws. But that was the whole kind of the whole pot of chicken soup was kind of off the menu after that. So yes, he's you've got to watch the little bugger. Anyway, chaps, I think it's about time to start winding things up. Rent-A-Kill saying, are you doing the Fatacaster's caps? Yeah, I'm going to have a look into that, mate. Fatacaster's caps. We've already got the design finalised. It's basically going to be this or some element of this on a baseball cap. We will see what happens. Steve Cassidy would say, would love to see all the Fatacasters in Stetsons at Redcar Mageddon in the Boozer. Could you imagine the reaction of the regulars? This is Redcar, mate. There is, it takes a lot to shock the locals of Redcar. And on that note, we're going to wrap things up there for tonight, chaps, because I'm almost at the end of my final beer. And I'm starting to get a bit hungry, and there's a curry with my name on it downstairs. So thank you once again, each and every one of you, for turning up and watching a fat, bald northern bloke talk absolute bollocks for an hour. It's been a blast, and I'll keep on doing it till you're sick of me. Go and check out Steve Cassidy's video straight after this. And until the next time, time, gentlemen, please.